The sucker up there.
Yeah, a little
right
closer.
there.
A little
Yeah,
closer.
okay.
There
Yeah,
we
right
go.
about there.
All right.
How are you, fella? What's going on?
Fantastic. How are you doing?
Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
You're remarkably normal.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. I know people are always struck at how normal I am. I'm like, just like, wow, really? I think my
you
reputation.
made it through the maze
I guess
of being
so.
a famous child.
Yeah.
That's a very unusual maze.
My life is unique to me. That's what I like to say. And I'm almost like a peerless person, like to a certain extent. There's not too many people I can look left and right, and we have similar experiences.
Yeah, is there anybody that you ever contacted, like Jodie Foster or someone who's made it through and seems pretty put together?
Not really.
No?
No, not really. I mean, it's kind of a weird cold call, It's like, hey, Jodie Foster.
But I would think that's
It's Mac.
such a small clan of people. Like if a comic called me that I knew, and they wanted to talk to me, I would talk to them because it's such a small clan of people.
I mean, we do have our weekly therapy sessions. Yeah. Me, Elijah
group.
Wood,
Right.
Jodie Foster, like we all get together and we weep. Actually, we do primal screaming. That's what we do.
I was describing what it was like. I have a friend who, Ricky Schroeder, who is, obviously he was very famous when he was young as well. And
one of my favorite theme songs, TV theme songs of all time,
Silver Spoons.
Oh yeah.
And I was saying like the way you developed is not like the way the recipe calls. Like the recipe calls for you to have a childhood and try to figure out life, and then become a man and try to find yourself, and then try to find your path. And by the time he became a man, he was already famous. And the same thing with you. You were already famous as you were developing and learning.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how to kind of even describe it because it's always the way my life has been, kind of thing. Like in the same way that a lot of kids they go out and they catch bugs and play sandlot baseball or whatever. It's just that's the way it is. Like you don't really realize how unique the whole situation is until you have perspective, because you have nothing to compare it to really, other than I guess TV shows and movies and things like that. So I knew that my upbringing was unique. I knew it was different, but at the same time, it's kind of it's not until you get some perspective, some life experience, until you really realize that, oh wait, this was particularly weird.
I think one of the aspects that's particularly weird about it is a lot of kids that grow up famous, they grow up on the set.
Yeah.
And they grow up constantly around people who treat them very differently than everyone else. It's not just that you're famous, it's that you're famous and you're also the complete center of attention. Like you're the reason why we're here. We're here to do this television show. We're here to do this movie. We're here to do this thing. You're the star. And that, I think for a kid, that's a very strange place to be.
Yeah, and especially when I was a kid, even before I started working, I always liked being the center of attention kind of thing. I was definitely, I was very boisterous, but in general, I never really liked being fussed over. I didn't the hair, makeup, costume people poking at you all the time and things like that. I actually wasn't a huge fan after a while of kind of being that center of attention. It does become a job after a while.
Yeah.
Early on, you kind of just do what you do. That's I was good at it, and boom, in the same way that you do anything that you like.
It's weird that child labor laws don't apply to acting.
Yeah, they do.
Do they?
Yeah, I'm pretty well versed in child labor laws.
Well, how's that work then?
It goes from state to state. They can work you, let's say in New York, they can work you 10 hours.
Yeah, but stop right there. They can work you.
Well,
you can't get a job if you're 8.
That's what you're kind of that's what their limit is. At the same time, you have to get 3 hours of schooling in plus an hour of lunch. So really, your available window is only 6 hours or something like that a day. And that also in that 6 hours, they're always setting up the lights for the next shot and the hurry up and wait kind of part of of things. That's why the second Home Alone, it took nearly 5 months to film, because they can only I'm in virtually every scene and they can only use me X amount of hours per day kind of thing.
But isn't that the only job that you can work when you're 8 years old?
I don't know.
I mean, you can't be a carpenter.
I mean, I guess you can do modeling, but some kind of performing arts kind of thing. There are dancers and so forth. Because I was a ballet dancer before I was an actor.
Really?
I did ballet for a number of years. I'm a classically trained ballerina right here.
Wow. Is it a ballerina if you're a man?
I call it. I say I'm a ballet dancer But there is a weird ballerino.
Oh,
Like that some of them use, and I'm like, I'm not. I don't think I can call myself a ballerino. Like I just like can't. It's too broy.
sounds like it's from Welcome Back, Kotter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hey, ballerino.
I'm Billy Ballerino.
Yeah. So I did that for a number of years, and there's a bunch of kids like that do that, and you get paid, and you do the work.
Wow.
So there are other, I guess, trades.
Yeah,
that,
it seems like it's
I mean,
only show business, though, right?
Yeah. That's what I mean. I think it's more in the performing arts kind of thing. Like you don't see a lot of kids working the coal mines anymore, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, for good reason, right? But some people think that
It's like my 6-year-old's dying of black lung.
Oof. There's some horrible pictures from like the early 1900s of people actually working in the coal mines when they're little tiny kids.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, there are no newsies anymore,
Did you have any say in whether or not you worked when you were young?
Not really, no.
Yeah.
Like, it was, after a while, it became, like I said, a job, and it was, I never chose the projects. They were, like, my parents, like, essentially, like, chose them for me.
So they were like, kind of good news, Macaulay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they called me Macaulay.
You're going to buy us a new
house. Yeah, there you go, And, like, I never read any of the scripts. Like, I would just read, like, the lines for, like, the next day or whatever. Like, I would, like, get the gist of what the movie was about, but then I just kind of show up and hit my marks, find my light, and recite my lines.
So surreal.
It's kind of just like, again, like it's what you do,
right?
Like it's like in the same way that like kids go to like school or something like that. Like you fall into a routine to a certain extent.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about the human mind, right? It's so flexible. You could adopt to any sort of weird scenario,
and especially when you're a kid. I mean, like you can just bounce like all the time. Like,
kids adapt so easy.
Exactly. And I always had like a good memory and things like that. Like I liked I was big and charismatic, and I like had a good memory, like so I could remember my lines. Like that's pretty much what, like if you like, not gonna give any advice to any people about like, you should put your kid into this line of work, but at the same time, like what producers really care about is whether or not you remember your lines. Like they like people like never work with kids or animals kind of thing. And like, it's like, and they want, they really, all they really care about is you remember your lines, really, like, because apparently that's a problem. Like for me, it never was. Like if I ever lost my place, I would just see the script in my head and just read it. Like I kind of had a photographic memory back then. Oh, it's faded now.
How old are you now?
I'm 37. I'm about to be 38 in like 2 weeks.
Feels weird, doesn't it?
Yeah, Like my bowels are different. Like